Hello. So, I thought of this topic this afternoon, semi randomly, kind of not. I thought, and then it made itself into a nice little title. So, I figured I might as well roll. And um, I'm kind of surprised that it's doable because um, I had gotten an idea to do a podcast a little earlier today. Started the setup, which then I'm pretty sure activated the webcam. And then I got distracted watching somebody else that I follow on here and such and such. And now I don't see that tab. It's because I have a lot open right now. So I came and made this one. And yeah, it's didn't say your webcam is, being used by another tab. So here I am. Now we had somebody there for a couple minutes. I'm just gonna sit and think for a couple minutes and kind of settle into things together here. Get yourself a drink, put on some background music if you like, and we'll see where things go with this. Hmm. I almost want to put on some background music actually, uh, but this isn't necessarily to be a meditative thing. So, but any kind of music would do. Um, I just have to take care of something very quickly. Very, very quickly. Maybe one of these, Ace, because that'll keep you going for a while. Who has who trains? They're kind of rough. Those things are huge. So the title, and the topic, as I always try and make them inclusive. I try and make them, um, you know, go together. Um, what ails you? What makes you stand in one spot? It came together kind of interestingly. I will admit. Um, the first part I kind of remember, um, you know, it makes enough sense how it kind of came together. The second part at the moment I can't really remember, but I'm curious your thoughts on it as far as what makes you stand in one spot, and then figuring out the steps forward. I think the part about standing in one spot actually came from a brief feeling, whatever the cause, of feeling paralyzed a little, for lack of a different word, because I know that some people are disabled and actually deal with that. But the temporary feeling, I don't know if there's a name for it or whatever, but the temporary feeling is actually, I think, quite common amongst people. In fact, I was just watching somebody else's video, like I say, and there was a guy who was just a tad under 20. I didn't know this at first, and we were just chatting in the guy's chat while listening to his music. Oh no, sorry, that wasn't the same guy, but it was a 21-year-old. That's what it was. Um, like I said, I was chatting with that other guy, and we were just having a nice chat. It wasn't anything weird. But as far as the 21-year-old, that guy, wow, no, just kidding, just kidding. He was saying something about how it gets sore. I mean, and again, that's almost a human thing, and everybody's got different health things, or could be doing better things for themselves, which might be helpful, right? But said after a few minutes of sitting, it was kind of like, you know, got all cramped and sore and all that stuff. What else? What else could do that, right? Um, or I think of the song "Stop and Stare," make you feel like you go nowhere. But sometimes I know everybody gets scared. I gotta look up the lyrics to that. It's interesting because I was thinking about a place I used to work at earlier today that I haven't worked at for years, and that particular song and it used to play a lot at that workplace, but I don't think I'm going to do it after all. But and then more could be said on any of these really, but without anybody being here, I've kind of got to keep the movement kind of moving myself. Um, if I was to say, I know she's got going away festival coming up first, so she probably doesn't have time to watch anyway. This friend of mine, but if I was to say what would help me move me forward, and I tried to tell this particular person in my life, um, I'm not necessarily upset, but I don't know if it kind of got spoken about enough. I don't feel like it did really, but um, tangible, tangible things. I mean, what's hard in suggesting that, although this person that I'm thinking of doesn't seem to have the worry of, you know, um, I don't want to suggest something in case it doesn't go well, um, which is an understandable and legitimate worry, really. Um, but they also, um, you know, any of us, what's easy for one might be, for some be very hard, like the Eden Eden song, um, and it's true. It's true. Um, but I think that there's no what how I think you know people should operate in this kind of area of things, which covers a lot of things really, but is it's okay to make suggestions, and then the person who is receiving the suggestions can sit and decide if it's something that they either can do or interested in doing, or um, maybe there's also possibly often the case where they can and they are interested, but there needs to be a little something before that, a little, I've done that earlier, so, steps or suggestions that come to get to that spot. Um, I don't have any recent examples, unfortunately, but um, and then there's also the whole topic kind of fits in with this, as I'd be curious to hear people's stories. Um, never, well, I haven't often verbalized this. Trying to figure out how. I mean, I like hearing people's stories anyway, but life stories and the things that they've been through and that. But which is always kind of mixed, I suppose, for most people. But I'd be curious to hear from people who have. I'm not going to say necessarily character traits, although they can connect to that, but who have, and we all have character traits, but who have always kind of seen themselves as succeeding in something. Um, this is gonna have different components to it. So those who have always seen yourself succeeding in something and have actually succeeded, and maybe still are, or are still trying to. Um, what has that looked like for you? As far as I'm thinking, mostly in the sense of career. an employment, but like with employment, but yeah, yeah, because even though maybe I'd like to revisit some hobbies from my past, or I'd like to possibly gain some new ones, accessibility and affordability is a thing to consider for me and for any of us, really. But also, um, it's weird. It's kind of like I would say that it's mostly easy in that regard, but then maybe not. Maybe not because like when I'm on the internet, there's lots that interest me, and I, soak that in and enjoy that. But there's not a lot that I otherwise music, which often I bring to YouTube here. Enjoying the garden a little bit. I'd like to say I like cooking, but honestly, I'm not that fancy. Um, so, but as far as a career sense, I wish there was somebody that was. I thought for a few seconds there, I thought, but, um, but my bigger question, or I mean, not that I don't want to, I just want to throw the other one away, but I think my curiosity is stronger with this particular question, and it's also where I'm at now. Has anybody, I know some have probably, experienced where they always thought they would be, successful and sustainable um, in a certain area, but it's not panned out, or it's mostly not panned out. Um, I mean, I'm thinking, I mean, I don't want to, I know my friend would be saying, she'd be saying, talk about it as if you, and so, others, talk about it, as if you are, and as if you have, and as if you're still, you know, yeah. And that I do find it hard. But it's interesting because share a bit of an experience. I hope she won't mind. I won't say her name. There was a festival here not long ago, and she was coming from another uh, from another province, actually, I guess, and uh, she was coming with her daughter, and she had initially envisioned in her head that her daughter was going to agree to it and enjoy it, and she did. She did actually agree to it, and we didn't see a lot of her. We almost did a second time, but I think maybe it was probably for the best, just because of kind of the content, and also how her mother kind of saw the content of a performance prior to another one. Not that I'm saying that it was bad how she saw it, but maybe she's used to her mother, showing her emotions. I guess I am to mine. Anywho, I knew how excited I was about it, how much it meant to me just for her and or them to come and to share in that together, and it is and it was. However, uh, I've also been doing sessions with her, uh, kind of as a client, but we're also kind of reformed friendship prior to that. Um, it's She was kind of sort of a client for us, and it's been a mutual thing. Anywho, and the one day I was going to have a session with her, and she pretty much just said, "So let's just chat." You know, she didn't necessarily say, because there was a couple times where it almost seemed like we were still going to try it, uh, and like she didn't want to be around her daughter at the time. She wanted to go take her food out to the yard and eat, um, because the daughter was unsure whether she wanted to come. Was worried about the crowds and whatever. Um, I am not surprised how emotional my friend kind of was about this. uh, it wasn't that my friend was not planning to come, and again, did. Uh, but it was that the way that she'd seen it happening may have been different than what she had initially seen. And again, it all worked out. And recently we had a session, and I don't remember what was said right before this, other than probably it doesn't feel real to say that I'm this and this when I'm not really there yet. And it's true. Part of what she's doing, which, because even people who could be so great at doing this for others need it need it from others as well sometimes. uh in the sense of like life coaching, I'm kind of referring to. And basically she pretty much just said, and I felt like she maybe kind of looked at each section, but at the same time, the one that stands out the most, kind of the areas that I'm interested in, the one that stands out the most was she says, you were there for me that one week. She wasn't even super specific from what I recall, but I knew what she was talking about. When I needed you, and I needed to be able to express my emotions or whatever. And it stuck with me. I should hear that more often, but I've just kind of been a bit of a, I guess you could say, hermit, or a bit isolated lately. So, um, and that's the thing, is that okay? It's great. I'm glad that it was impactful for her, and me too. That example, but there's not been a lot of it happening, and that's just the truth. It's just the truth, you know. Um, so um, I want to hear people's stories about kind of what's that word? Um, Getting through adversity, if not university, and finding success, especially if it's something that's always been there, because that's an interesting thing. When something, when your certain passions or interests stick with you, and especially stick with you in the sense where you feel like it's supposed to be a career. There's supposed to be a career in it. Um, Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. And I suppose we're all different. But I also want to hear stories about, which is kind of what I was trying to get to a little earlier, about people, you know, I'll use music as an example. Nobody's listening, nobody's here at the moment, but and hasn't been for most of this. But, I'm still doing it. I am still doing it. But um, um, I am not doing it as much as I'm not doing it to the level of which I would like. Um, I think this friend is still alive. Doesn't look like much happening. Yeah, I've not been doing it as much as I would like to. Um, and some people would say, well, just do it more then. But I mean, I'm not big about bars, and I don't drive. So I mean, I'm not doing gigs as much as I would like, and that does not mean that there isn't opportunities still. It's just I've not been really experiencing them. Um, as far as I have been trying to do some songwriting lately, I guess, but um, I've started to wonder. Oh, that's right, and I'd almost forgotten something. Um, I'd started to wonder. Forgot I was waiting to hear from a vocalist about being in a band. Um, if music is meant to be a career option for me, and there will be people that say, "Well, you need to have another job too," and lots do. Some don't, or not very many people make it. That one always gets me. That one always gets me. Or, when people say that, I mean, I don't know if it's something internal, that's speaking to them when they say that, because clearly we know that there are a lot of famous bands out there. It's like when I went to my mother said something about, well, we all have OCD because we all have things we might obsess over. I do and don't think she agreed, but anyway, no, there's lots of famous bands out there that are successful, and there's a lot of smaller scale ones too that might be more just successful in their cities or whatever that they're in. Um, that maybe aren't known about widely, but they've still got a pretty good following. Um, but yeah, so that's an example where you know I'd like to say that I see it through back to success, and I'd like to hear people's stories about similar. But what I also want to hear is about people who did, like, I guess you would call it a pivot, and uh, decided to try a different uh, career. Well, okay, hush. I just um, and what that's looked like for you. Um, regardless of how long you've been doing that. Um, um, well, it's only loading so high up anyway. Um, I believe this is still live. That one does not want to take for some reason, which is fine because because give it a name. Losing my Uplay? Huh. Joe Conkelberg. Joe Conkelberg. But he wants to hear it on 12 string, so I'm not going to do that. Um, I'd like to hear him do that, though. I'm going to have to go back to that one. But yeah, so regardless of how long you've been sorry, I maybe got my reading eyes on at the moment because I am just quickly reading something while I multitask here. But it needs to be beautified. Uh, Um, didn't take me long though to get back into the community that is this guy. And then interestingly, another former coworker knows Justine all right. Thought that was obvious. Sorry. But I know it would be repeating it, but might be worth it if somebody tunes in. I might repeat that question again because it's not that there is a that there's a shortage of those kind of stories online. There isn't. There isn't. There's all kinds of motivational stories and stuff. Um, well, I don't know if it's worth saying it yet or not. Maybe. Um, One, if that person's really curious to meet another relative, possible relative, maybe she'll come and chat. But you can always just go by your name. Well, that's like okay, whatever. Too late. Done. Next. That's just a human thing. Doesn't really matter who you are. Um, hopefully, she figures that out. Now, I could ask. I almost accidentally closed that. Kazuhira Ocean. So I just want to look that up. Um, it's not switching back as quickly to his as it was moments ago, but it's switching back to mine fine. So I guess that's where I'm supposed to be. Um, okay, that's kind of interesting. That's weird. That seems to be contradiction. I'm just reading the meaning of a word, and it both means like metal and aggressive, and it also means peace. So, you know, I guess you can't have one without the other, but I think you can if you try. And peace and love and happiness is always good. Now, there was somebody there for a few seconds, and I thought I knew who it might be. Maybe they realized I was talking to them, but we'll just see here. I've really been mostly talking for 31 minutes. Wow, doesn't feel like that. So I'm just gonna pause for a moment and see who tunes in. One thing I will say is this guy whose podcasts I've been watching. Um, yeah, I enjoyed some of the people in his chats, and two of them, possibly soon three, or was there a fourth? I think three though, have made their way to my content, and we've had nice little chats. Um, the one I don't think is online very much. The other one was just this week, and the other one might be now. I'm not sure because, like I say, we do have somebody watching, and I had invited somebody. So, um, but yes, regardless of who we've got here right now, I'll repeat this question that I said a few moments ago before you got here. I'd like to hear people's success stories in their lives, but also, and this would be also in their life, I guess. But Lilo and hello, Kazura. Who is Lilo? Is it? And I'm curious about that ocean. Um, Anywho, the fifth element. Okay, water, wind, air, fire. Yeah, true. I can't count the fifth one, so we'll say that. Anywho, my question is, okay. Um, I haven't seen very many movies lately, but I'm curious some of your favorites. Maybe I could do songs for them or something because I am actually musical as well. And say but I know you meant to, so it's all good. You just ready to jump right in. So I do have a question though. What um to hear people's success stories, and you're who's here right now. And you might remind me of some of mine, which could actually be a good thing. Um, it's not that I don't have many recently, but I sometimes feel like I don't. Um, but I also want to ask, is there an area where you always felt like, oh, this is my destiny, this is what I'm meant to do with my life, and then maybe found out otherwise? And what, if you've discovered, what have you been doing instead? And how's that going for you? It's not just a question for you, but you're the one that's here right now. Because it's I've been in a rut myself. I've been kind of trying to figure out. Sorry, I was not quite looking at the screen for some of that, but just gazing into space. I'll stop talking and let you catch up. Although you do seem to be pretty good at. Well, that was just music in the background. And like I say, I can do some music. Um, so, what type of music do you do ask? And I mostly have had short term success, but every time I get forward, I'm forced back again. Yeah, I would say I can kind of relate to that. Although I'm in my 30s, and most of my 30s have not been, I hate to sound negative, but have not been very forward moving in the music and in the healing work and photography opportunities and stuff. What do you think has caused you to feel stuck? Um, and that's an interesting point too, though. Like sometimes it's hard to do things by yourself, but sometimes it's hard to do things with others too, right? So it's kind of like, and with music, it's fine. With music, it's kind of one of those things. It's a very together type of, not, it doesn't have to be, but a very together type of thing. Uh, how do you define getting big headed as far as like, because if it's ego that you're referring to, I guess my thoughts are kind of that, there's a difference between a healthy ego and confidence, which can be mistaken for, or, you know, and a not healthy one. There's a difference between, you know, group effort and somebody trying, although there's often a leader, whether it's a good one or not, is, and that kind of reminds me, um, I never thought to, well, I have kind of thought about the main things that this channel is about, but I've never really thought to kind of, yeah. Um, but yeah, music, healing, in a couple different, well, music itself is healing, but, and also, angelic healing and just the creative arts in general. I've always had that dream of a team, and I once was working at a call center job of all kinds of jobs, and I can't remember why it was said, but one of the customers said, "Teamwork makes the dream work." I don't think of that phrase often, but when I do, I remember where I heard it, and I've not really forgotten it. Um, I don't want to be known for things, but the things I can do with the wider collective of musicians. So you kind of want to, which I do not get that sense, but it's all good. I'm trying to figure out what your picture is, by the way. Um, you like to be kind of a background musician. I believe Ellen. I heard Ellen say it's, I don't really. I don't think the rumors are true. I think some people had some bad experiences on her show and spoke about them a little bit. I don't know, because she's always been a pretty. I don't know if I'd say bubbly, but happy person. Uh, and apparently, she was a background dancer, I believe, for Tina Turner, and Tina Turner didn't even really. It was like a surprise to her. May have been briefly, and when her hair was still quite young, and it was maybe not recognizable. I want to be the guy. Okay, so that answers the question about gender. Not that it's a big thing either way, but I guess I was curious. That puts everything everywhere. Is that even possible? I want to make all sorts of things. That each are what kind of things like other than music? What kind of things? I've had plenty of movie ideas. Oh, that's very interesting. That I'd love to collab about that. It's sometimes hard to do that on the YouTube platform. I will say though that there's nobody else here right now, so I'm tempted to say, well, first of all, I'm curious. Do you have content on your channel, including possibly also an email address? Um, Funding, grants, those are the hardest things. I have a friend that's I've known two people in my life specifically, although one is not any longer a friend and one is still pretty good, a good friend, and I hope that will always be. Who have been on about grants and learning about that. But I've got to admit, I just kind of feel like they're talking about it and not actually helping me figure out if I need it, what I need, how do I get it, and let's do this. Um, could get by with nothing if you had a crew. I'm not sure I'm following. Oh, sorry to hear that. Well, I'm sure there's something somewhere. And you say you like to put it out there, but definitely I'd like to collab. Now, you're the only person that's here right now. I have, I'm going to give you my email address. Maybe we could talk about some ideas because, like I say, I've been in a rut and been feeling kind of bored lately. So it's COLTYNROCKS at gmail.com. Don't put it here. If you didn't hear it, I'll say it again. But if you did, great. Because it's hard to do that on YouTube, especially if people tune in. Although it varies. Sometimes it's just one or two. Sometimes it's a few. Sometimes it's none. One or two, honestly, can make a great a great difference. And like I've been rolling for a little over half an hour, and there was like a couple of people who were briefly here and didn't really stay. And now the meat of this, for lack of a different phrase, now the true essence of this video is shining because you're here to join me. So that's nice. Having a nothing budget, and again, we don't have to talk about where money comes into it right now. I'm curious what your genres are as well. I'm not sure if I know who Sammy Ramy is or Sam Ramy is. And did you catch my email? Again, don't write it if you did. Otherwise, I'll say it again. Um, yeah, but as I was saying on Maxie's video, I really don't use that. So, and I don't know. I'm late 30s. I can't remember how old you are. Okay, and that's definitely not my kind of content, and I try and stay away from that kind of stuff. But so Spider-Man, and I guess I used to be into. Um, I just don't really follow the comics or superheroes all that much. Uh, but yeah, to learn something new. I mean, I'm open to it, but technology-wise, um, I use a few different things. So, oh really? Well, I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I really don't feel like the horror genre is kosher, for lack of a different word. I feel like it causes a lot of people anxiety and this and that. I actually heard an interesting something somebody said the other day, not to get too much deep into this particular topic, but that um, the anxiety or whatever that they feel goes away when the movie ends. I says yes, unless you're traumatized or it sticks with you. Like at first, it was like good concept, but in theory, yeah. Um, I like most other genres though, but yeah, I don't really, I don't get the point. I don't find it entertaining, that type of stuff. I have done some background work though, and I mean, sometimes they're looking for certain demographics or it's outside of the city or whatever, but sometimes it's those kind of things, and I just don't try out for them. And then I have had a worker at one point in time who'd done some of that too. I mean, he's got a job, he's got one kid, and he's got a wife with a job, and yet he was getting all kinds of opportunities. But again, he wasn't picky, and he also drove, and they utilized not only did that help him get to things, but they also utilized um, um, his driving ability and maybe gave him like a vintage car to drive. In fact, the John Travolta movie was recently filmed not too far away. I think I have heard of that. It's old though, eh? Um, More of a comedy. Well, depends on the type of what one finds funny. I don't think I would, but after the first one, it became a comedy. Quick and the Dead is an amazing western. My dad was really into westerns, and it's interesting that they have a special spot in your heart because, yeah, like I say, so was my dad who passed away when I was quite young. Bonanza. I always remember dun, 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 bouncing on his leg or just bouncing our knees on the couch. Um, and in the air, no skin. And Beverly Hillbillies are two that stick out. And my dad also worked with horses, so uh, yeah. I mean, didn't do a lot of westerns, and again, I'd say I'm pretty open genre wise, but I guess like they're special to me as they sound like they are to you, but I wouldn't necessarily. But then I'm not one. I'm not much one for guns, especially around horses. Like that makes me uncomfortable. I'm surprised my dad liked it. Actually, he was also into boxing. And I'm not. I'm a lover, not a fighter. But my dad actually taught briefly with, or should I say, boxerly? Just kidding. With Floyd Mayweather or Merriweather. Easily spooked. Yeah, horses are smart. And I guess that you can train animals. That would be a cool job actually in the industry. And I watched some. I feel like or I intended to watch something about that recently. Also adding music, which I'd like to do some music while you're here, by the way. But yeah, um, but it's interesting that you speak about. Well, and this is an interesting topic. And don't forget to press like, by the way. Um, I think you seem to be liking, so I appreciate it. So my eyes are a little bit tired and buggy at times. I'm noticing the way I'm just glaring at the screen. Um, I sometimes am on the screen, perhaps with too long at once, but sometimes it's worth it. And here we are showing that. Yeah, my dad was a blacksmith. Thanks for the like. And he also drove horse carriage. And ironically, one of his co-workers, although I can't remember what it was, she had an interesting piece of advice on her page. Did you unlike it or unintentionally? Now does bus tours. Um, I'm just curious because I think, oh, unless you're just kind of doing, okay, there we go. Yeah. Um, so there is something, and you seem like a pretty diverse person, and GUI. GUI. Not sure what that means. Anywho, at the moment, I could make kind of guesses. Like it's always fun to think of what things stand for, what words stand for. By the way, I'm curious your thoughts on the title. We've mentioned it a little bit of this video, but I'm curious your thoughts. But I'm also curious your thoughts on the afterlife. Like I know that. Okay, of course, I know that um, the media, movie, TV shows don't always depict it realistically, but my feelings are is that it is real. It is another life form. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I necessarily believe in aliens, but I've never had an alien encounter either. And does that beg a question? I don't know. Does it? Yeah. When's it going to happen? Do I want it to? I know there's all kinds of movies about that actually. But yes, hopefully you got my email address. Again, it's just you here right now, so maybe I'll say it once more. Um, but it's like I look past it because she's just done so much great in my life, and I want to continue being in each other's life. So COLTYN rocks at gmail.com. And the rocks is because of the musical thing, especially, and the confidence boost a little bit, because we need that sometimes, right? But yeah, thoughts on the afterlife and any song requests, and I'll do those, and then I'll probably wrap up. Here in Canada, it's about, and I forget if you said where you're from. It's about 2:45. The other person in the house, who also is sometimes on this channel, um, is it's a Friday, so may or may not get home from work early, but I can roll for a bit longer. I don't have anything particular going on. Anytime you write a story, I think you're writing that story is just having a new plane of thought to see another universe's history. Story truly is it. Sure. But is there anyone more idiot than, dare I say, you know who? Not to get political. Oops, I mean, that may have been too obvious. Uh, what state? It's interesting because there's actually a lot of places that call themselves the land of the free. Canada's another one. He's not Voldemort. That's random. Again, true. Um, I'm thinking actually about a group that I'm in that I joined online, and then it suggested that I join it again, but I didn't think I'd left it. And it's Tennessee, um, Jackson, Tennessee. Oh yes. Well, that's not maybe not where you're from, but that's a song I'm thinking of. Anywho, it was this guy like Rainbow, right? And it got mixed results, but most of the people were nice. Athens, okay, but not Greece. It's not too greasy there, right? Just kidding. Yeah, thoughts about the afterlife? Did you catch my email there? How close is that to Jackson? Actually, I don't think. Yes, that is. Is that where Josh was from? I think it may have been. Yeah, and there's a lot of English ones, like a lot of like UK places that are named of things in Canada and elsewhere, I'm sure too. Um, I'm just trying to think. There was a friend of mine that passed away a while ago, and he was from Tennessee. And I'm trying to remember if he was from Jackson. As we get a second viewer, welcome. Um, um, or if I saw Tennessee and I thought that song. Last name was Wheeler. And he owned a company, I believe, too. You're like, oh my god, I know him. I'm like, oh my god, you know him. I'm just kidding. Maybe. I don't know. We've got somebody else just tuned in. Where are you watching from? Welcome. Um, Mexico. I kind of get how that fits into what we were saying, but I'm not thinking of any in particular. Anywho, um, song requests. I mean, sure. Do I not seem like a deep person? I haven't gotten that deep, but do I not seem like I could? A lot of us could. Um, and then song requests, and I'll round this off with a couple songs. I'll put a few requests so I can choose from some. And I don't do metal. I don't really do metal. But other than that, and I don't really do jazz or blues all that much. But other than that, I don't do a lot of rap, but I don't mind it. But other than that, just okay. Man, I'm at the edge of my seat wondering what this deep question is going to be. How deep is the ocean? Well, oh, Clark. Well, that is very interesting. Um, there was a theater festival here. Uh, there was a theater festival happened not long ago, and there was a show about these guys that got together for game night or whatever, or friends. I guess they didn't specify, and I actually didn't make it to it because there was a lot of other things going on as well. And they were it kind of asked a similar question to that actually. Um, if you realize that life was a dream, well, you live in your dream life, and you can have dreams in your sleeping of your. It's interesting how we can be asleep but still alive, right? Most of the time. Um, and you have the choice to stay asleep or wake up. What would you choose? Now, this is going to be deep when I really look at that last part of that question. Um, lately, it's okay. I'm feeling the feels. Lately, there have been many times, although there is always good in my day, whether it's the people that I live with or the stuff I enjoy online and the occasional chat here and there, I have wanted to just stay asleep, aka die. I mean, because if you're going to stay asleep, you're not really living, right? Um, There's also been times where it's all I've wanted to do, like before that festival came, didn't have a lot else going on. I was really looking forward to it, so it's kind of like I just want to sleep until it gets here. Now it's gone, and I fallen back into that. Depression is also part of it. Um, but I want to enjoy living more again, like I used to. And it's interesting actually to think about how staying asleep is practically perhaps death. you know, I mean, nobody could stay awake. I mean, could stay asleep forever if they were actually alive, even a little bit. Inception is not entirely wrong. You can dream within dreams. I've done it. It's weird. Wake up. Well, and then certain types of media you watch may impact, life does too, your dreams. I'm not here to talk about those kind of things, but the lighter dreams, anything that's perplexing, I actually also like to analyze dreams for people. I don't do it often. And I used to like to do it with my own, but I don't really have dreams that often. and I wake up, yeah, they say journal it or whatever, but there's somebody else, beside me, and I don't want to be turning on the light or scribbling and not being able to make it out in the morning or whatever. And I don't have a lot of space beside the bed on my side. Not that a notebook takes up much, but so I don't really, you know, if I retain anything, I'll try and remember it every now and then, try and fall back into it. Woohoo, we've got a long weekend coming. But not that we're doing much, but a lot of the times it's kind of like it's there and then it's not really. You can dream within dreams. That's an interesting concept. Well, if you fall back asleep easily, that's the thing. I usually sleep a good number of hours, unless it's like briefly for the washroom, that my body seems to know it. And it's kind of like, okay, you've slept enough. Your brain wants to tell you stuff. So, and often routine too. But that's just briefly in the morning. And then technically, I could go back to bed for a while. I just rarely do. Today, I actually purposely didn't have as much coffee because I thought, yeah. But we usually have a nap, later in the day. So, not like super late, but now we have a second person who's been here for ages, and I really appreciate that, and that you're appreciating this. But you're being shy. No need to be shy. Love to hear from you on what we're talking about, or like I say, a song suggestion. I'd really love to. I've almost gotten too tired, but I could try and do one or two songs if you have a request. But hey, you missed where I got deep about mental health and being stuck in life. Or at least it seems like you did. I'm just going to go off the screen briefly here and let you type. One of the reasons I love the Sandman comics from Vertigo, Mr. Sandman. If nothing else, I'll sing this a bit. Bring me. Apparently, I don't remember the words, but the melody is half of the song. So, is there a dream? Again, I want to specify not nightmares. Is there a dream that you've had that you've struggled to ever figure out, whether it's recently or a long time ago? Let me know. There's actually one I'm thinking of. And actually many months afterwards I did figure it out, but I just have to go off screen for a moment. Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Do I want to the dog? Our dog just got comfy on the chair over there, but he's sometimes a follower, so I fear that if I get up, since he's just gotten there, he might just jump back down and follow me to the kitchen, and then possibly be noisy afterwards. But he's got his treat, so he's not going to get another one. Yes, I changed my outfit because I worried my shirt because I worried that what it said on it, which wasn't really in view the way I had the device tilted, might be distracting. It wasn't anything funny. It's kind of something interesting, which is actually about something that may not really exist anymore because it was largely a video database on a site that is not really much of a video site anymore. Obviously not YouTube, but so what y'all think about the afterlife, the dream question, the song requests? Let's bring those back around, and then in about maybe 45 minutes, I'll probably wrap up. I'll stop talking. You do seem to be pretty good at multitasking, but I'll stop talking because I want to go fill up my water. Ooh. And the dog didn't get up. Oh, actually, I don't need to do this. Lost a month. Got the damn Sandman song in my head now. Thank you. Okay. this is all that cold anymore. It was sitting on the counter for a while. It's really not. Like, my teeth can't do super cold water, but I don't like super warm water either. And I know I shouldn't complain because some people don't even have clean water, but I'm finicky. Call it the autism spectrum. That's accurate. I mean, partially could be the reason. Well, I know that comments on the live chat can only be, and I hope that it shows afterwards. I'm not deleting nothing, so hopefully it shows afterwards. Like I say, do feel free to email me. Don't type it in the comments because there's somebody else here. But I hope that, yeah, sometimes I thought that I selected for it too, and then it doesn't. But comments after the fact are always nice to see under the video too, of course. But I'm happy that you're here. Happy that you made it here. Okay, I know I put a few things out there, so I'm just going to wait a little bit longer. And the dog did kind of get up, but he's laying nicely kind of in front of me. But mostly my knees and my legs are a bit chilly with the AC on at the moment. I've been trying to ignore it, and I've had a shirt on top of, kind of draped over them, but I might turn that off. I know once I get rocking, I'm gonna get warmed up again. Once I get warmed up, then there's no stopping me. Da, 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 da. You don't seem to be the type that's critical of what you're writing, although maybe a little bit. You know, there's been a couple very minor typos that you've mentioned, even though I've not made a thing of them. Again, I know that each comment on the live chat can only be about 4 or 5 lines long, so you know, don't be too critical of what you're writing. Just send it on through. I think pretty well caught up, so I'm ready for the next one. And then you can add to it. What if anybody ever like does it as a whole document and then just takes a little, puts it in, takes a little more, puts it in? Be a concept, I don't know. And the second person, you've been here for about, I want to say, half an hour, probably. Don't be shy to like. That's anonymous. I mean, I know you're here, but yeah, I'm working on a track as we speak, so I'm a bit delayed. So yes, where can I hear your music? And okay, I put a few questions out there, so like I say, I don't really have anything else to say other than I await your answers. I don't want to make any presumptions. I really don't. I do have one other thing I'll say. To the other person, who was the second person who came in to things here, I truly hope that you're here enjoying it. The only thing I can go by with that is the fact that you've stuck around and that you're here. If you're, I mean, you're not saying anything, you know, if it is for any, how do I put this? If you're not enjoying it and you're just here for some other reason, you don't have to be. You don't have to be. Go enjoy. Go watch stuff that you would enjoy. You know, maybe this is where my autism. It's like I can see that you've been here for a while. Okay, and then they left, and I don't think it was Kazura. So that's ironic. You know, I did say I was glad that they were enjoying it, and that I was happy that they were here. So that was kind of odd. I can't think of why someone would stick around if they, you know, and I don't really want guesses either. I don't think. I'm trying to think if I've ever done that. An interesting thought came to mind. adding to the other questions that I put out there, an interesting thought came to mind. I wonder if it may have been perhaps a guy who was really liking my vibe, really, really liking it, really, really liking it, and then thought, I'm like to the point where it seems gay, and he just gave me my but there isn't just gay and straight out there. So um, I don't know, maybe it was a bit of self denial that that person was having. Or anxiety. Or who knows? That's Canadian. So you got my email address, hopefully. Questions about the afterlife, questions about a dream you've never figured out, but always remembered whether it was recent or not, and song requests. And I guess I'm slightly curious. I don't know. To introduce another topic which isn't deep, depending on how I look at it. Sexuality, since that kind of just came up. It did make me think about something very interesting about a soul that I met named Colton. And I believe that he knew somebody who knew one of our viewers once. And the person was actually chatting a little bit. And then Colton said something, and it kind of, I guess, made the guy uncomfortable. But you know what? Sometimes, it shouldn't be our aim, right? But sometimes I think we have to allow ourselves to be in a bit of discomfort. You know, Oftentimes it could be far worse than what it is. It's just maybe a little bit uncomfortable, and see where it leads, I guess. So, like what I did with your question earlier. And I would say being vulnerable. I mean, I know it's the internet, but okay. Anyway, I put those feelers out there, if you want, whatever you want to call them. So I'll wait now. Trying to figure out what this stuff was on my hand, but I think it came from this band-aid that I had on. It's weird. Like say on the autism spectrum, I don't, I guess, have band-aids on often, but I'm not usually sensitive to them. But I've had this one on and off a couple times because I felt it was okay to do so, and it just kind of wasn't enjoying having it on. But again, minor discomfort. But things with like autism, sometimes it's pretty noticeable. If you don't address it, then the discomfort will be, yeah, like I say, growing and growing. I'd love to introduce you to Colton and Ray sometime, and other loved ones. Maybe even socials. I think the only other question I didn't really repeat. I know I mentioned one not long after you first came in because it was one I was kind of already thinking of. I feel like we kind of talked about it. Yeah, we kind of did. Is where can I find your music? But don't only answer that one. And then I think I'll watch that movie on the long weekend. It is actually something. Sorry to keep talking, and obviously you can multitask though because you're here, saying stuff a little bit. You're working on your project. I mean, ADHD comes to mind. I've got that. Um, but I thought the other thing I'd like to do, I was going to do it in the video I was going to do before seeing Maxie's, and then didn't get around to it. So I'll do it quickly here. I had a couple of signs and symbols, interesting ones, I feel too, uh, from loved ones in heaven today, I believe. One of them was, as I mentioned, we had a theater, and it wasn't just musicals. Really, I always say I'm not the only one that does that. This particular festival has something for everybody in it, pretty much. Um, and it finished recently, and I was looking through the booklet that came with it again, and this morning my eyes happened to fall upon one of the shows that I had noticed every time I looked through the list, but never really looked closely at. And one of my friends who passed away, the last time I saw was at this festival 2 or 3 years ago. And I don't think it's her passing. If I'd had a show, it would have been some of the inspiration, but they're random and a little bit kind of uptight. Like I tried to get a cancellation spot when somebody had completely pulled out. And they say, nope, we've already selected for this year, try next year. I'd even said that I was a little uncertain about my health, which is what really annoys me about it. But maybe I'll try next year because it's something I really want to do. And this particular show that I noticed had 3 people in it that knew her. And one of them, I knew in my 20s a bit more, and she lived actually 2 or 3 houses away from my grandparents. She must be back with the guy that she was with. She has a kid with him because her last name, I knew it as something else. She was actually at my friend's funeral. But a little bit, I mean, it was a funeral, it's true, and maybe she had a busy day. Like, because when they served the food upstairs, actually, I don't remember. I'm trying to remember if I saw them sitting at a table or if they just grabbed some stuff and left. Grief, schedules, right? The other one is actually a local, I believe, yeah, a burlesque dancer. And the other one did the same kind of unique work kind of that my friend did and was a co-worker of my friend's. However, I don't know if I would say I gelled well enough with any of them to have really, you know. And I did see a show that had some musicians in it that I knew, or kind of knew, back in the day. Um, and I feel Ray with me. I feel her scent, even if it's just subtly, her around fairly often. And yeah, when I saw that, I kind of thought of it. I also, around Christmas last year, I was looking at some genealogy stuff, or I don't remember how I came to know it. We looked up an obituary for a cousin of mine. Came across a couple of his daughters, and one of them was I think in stage 1 breast cancer. Um, and we talked a little bit, but she really wasn't as present uh, with the connection as I had hoped. But of course, like I say, she did have her health condition, and it was the holidays. Although she's in my family, and I mean, maybe the most recent generations, like she's got her kids or whatever. But I know that her her dad and her uncle and her uncle's wife and her grandmother and her grandpa, they've all passed. So I guess there was a part of me that thought, oh, the holidays are going to be hard for her too, hard, maybe lonely. But she had a local sister, and like I say, they both had their own kids, and stuff. But and I remember my messaging feature on that website was being wonky. So the other person in our house let me borrow his. But when it wasn't are you still there, Cassiara? It looks like you are. When it wasn't really unfolding very much, I blocked her. Then the other person noticed and said, "Why'd you do that?" and unblocked her. And just a few days ago, I decided to try sending her again. I didn't send her a lot. She noticed and didn't say anything. Weird, I think. And I'm here just finishing that track I started 10 minutes ago. Okay, well, as long as you're catching most of this, I'll be curious to hear all your thoughts on the questions, on these experiences. Anything that comes to mind, I value what you have to say. May not agree with it, but we'll see. Anywho, and I had seen her dad's obituary once before, I think. So I probably noticed it, but I guess I'd forgotten because when I saw it again, and like I say, this was like last Christmas, that I'd last had contact with the daughter briefly. I'd never known her in person. I should state that too, perhaps. But I think I write like I talk. I think I've had people tell me that, and I sent an occasional clip. Anyway, it said that I think the exact wording was that he died having a Pepsi, his favorite drink. And when I went out to check the mail earlier, I mean, this is our residential street. There's a school nearby which might be starting back soon. So maybe they were filling the vendor machines. I don't know. There was a Pepsi truck came up the lane. And I just thought it was really kind of ironic. And that is, I believe, signs of our angels letting us know that they're with us and that they're around. Just the same as with us, essentially. Anyway, I'll let you finish what you're doing. Say anything else you want to say here. Song requests. You heard me sing a little bit of Sandman, then I couldn't stop for a while. I'm just going to duck out and check the mail again. But yeah, that'd be wild if you knew Mr. Reeler as well. That sounded funny. I'm going to Jackson. I'd sing that song, but I really just know that part. So I don't know what I'd be singing. And I know my friend Ray, who was a music host at some clubs, I know she would say, if it's a good song, sing it anyway. But I don't know. And sometimes I do, but I like to mostly, if not completely, feel what I'm singing. Otherwise, it just doesn't make any sense. I'll be right back. The dog's laying there nicely, but I'll be right back. Or as they say in Germany, oh no, that's Austria, sorry. I'll be back. Oh, I need some dinner ideas. I did just get some kind of songwriting idea, perhaps, though, from what I just saw out there. I got an interesting songwriting idea. So, and I do play guitar, but it's, sorry to kind of distract from the other things that have been mentioned. I do play guitar, but it needs to be restringed. Not completely, however, I had one string break. I thought, I'll keep playing. That's maybe not super noticeable, although it was noticeable with my finger a little bit. It's like I could tell that I was not holding down that string when I was doing certain chords. And then another one broke, the G string of all things. And I find it such a hassle and so tedious to change strings. In other words, I don't do it until I really have to. And so I've been spending more time on the piano when I've been doing music at all. But it's interesting, every now and then, not necessarily because I'm mostly a rhythm guitarist, Not necessarily. I don't know why, but there are certain songs. Like I wish I could think of a couple of recent examples, or like even songwriting. Like right now, I'm kind of thinking maybe because I've done it more, but not lately. And it's interesting because there was an interesting piano hip hop one at the end of one of the Colton videos recently um, that seemed to fit more towards guitar. But I had an interesting concept, and I don't know if you write lyrics or you definitely seem to, like you say, you love to chat and you seem to like to use words, for lack of a different way to put it. But I'd love to collab on this idea a little bit if we get a second person watching. When I went outside briefly, our neighbors next to us are older. They do and don't seem to have, they mostly don't seem to have company very often. However, they did, and I had a weird thought go through my mind. I don't know, just the way my head's at the moment or whatever. I thought, wouldn't it have been? I mean, maybe, I could understand if, I wasn't having such a great time chatting here and maybe had been feeling a bit lonely. But I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if I'd recognize that person? And it's like, oh, somebody I know. In fact, 2 or 3 houses away, there was something that had happened to one of our neighbors. And I came home from, I almost remember what. And I was kind of muttering lightly to myself, which may have been why she was looking. I don't know. But there was a lady who didn't live there. It was apparently the mother of one of the adults that lived there. And yeah, she was really just kind of really watching me as I went in. And as soon as I came in, I thought, I think I remember going to a group with her back in the day. And we actually used to also go for coffee. Sometimes I don't remember if it was always after, because I don't think we were in touch otherwise. So it was kind of like, oh, I saw you at the group. Want to go for a coffee? Yeah, okay, sure, kind of thing. Um, but I thought that's pretty close by to home. And I don't know if I maybe thought I might be embarrassed if I found out that it wasn't who I mean, but sometimes that happens. Like I actually at this festival that I was talking about, I there was a lady sitting somewhere, and I walked past her, and then I went back and asked if if her name was a certain name because she reminded me of somebody that I'm not really that close with. Used to go to an art group I used to go to, and yeah, I've not really. I don't know if I was ever connected to her online or not. I asked if it was her. It wasn't. Anyway, the other interesting thing though was that, like Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory, or even me sometimes, and lots of us, our neighbor usually sits in a certain chair, and her husband sits in another one. He wasn't on the deck. She wasn't in her usual chair. Her friend was. So it inspired a couple of ideas potentially. One being, oh my gosh, I think I know you, or oh my gosh, I do know you. And two, um, for lack of a different way to put it, not that this is a terrible way to put it, putting yourself in somebody else's shoes or in somebody else's spot. I don't know. I mean, you know. So we have a second person here. Curious where you're watching from. Welcome. Don't know if you were previously here. Um, this is meant to be a positive experience for all of us, and there's no need to be shy. I'm pretty laid back, which is not meant to be intimidating. Some people might find it that way. I don't know, but yeah. So okay, now where can I hear it? um, and I'd mentioned a few other things. So whatever you remember that you feel like you want to touch on, I'll let you do so. Okay. I used to do video games a lot more when I was younger. Um, when we were young, and then, huh? Yeah, but I don't like that band name. Just think of a song from a friend Ray's favorite. It's actually on her obituary, a lyric of it. Have I inspired you to do so, me and Maxie? Maxie and Me. That's a movie. You said you like all genres. I'd be curious for you to check that out, and hopefully Estan's doing okay. And then email me or come to my channel and comment under the video what you thought of it. I'd really love that. Talking about movies could be fun. It was like a small film, small produced film, I think, speaking of that kind of project. Also, my friend Viva, I think, is working on a project. I don't know much about. Actually, I think it was about finding purpose or whatever. It was like, oh, I need to do that. Send it my way. YouTube is great for that in some ways. I'll need to make it. Okay. So some of the other stuff that I mentioned that is still lingering in the air earlier because you were distracted, which is fine. You stayed here and I felt half listened to, so it's better than not. Like I say, because you were the only one here for a while, but somebody else tuned in about 10 or 15 minutes ago. Don't forget to like. Don't be shy. Thoughts on any of this other stuff that you've heard? I've really appreciated your chatting. Mm, mm. And one of the ones I suggested has that feature, but the time I tried it, there was audio issues. Whether that would be the case this time or not, I don't know. But we do have somebody else here right now, so we have a wonderful tapestry of words. That's neatly put. Well, let's try and collab a little bit. I mean, I know maybe that answers the music question, even though it's not a song that either of us is familiar with yet. And then there was a few other things that we said. But if you're a fan of science, more so science theater, like me, yeah, okay. Um, well, the other person in the home actually does some of that. We recently got a new instrument and has been making kind of relaxation tracks. And my brother, I was mentioning in Maxie's video, and the movie is one of the topics, of course. That and movie in general. I was mentioning on there my brother's band that he used to be in. Now he's a music producer in France. I always think Maxie is French, actually, but French, German, tomato. Just kidding. But he's not very, even though maybe because he works with computers and technology in his work, which from my viewpoint seems like it's fairly constant, but it sounds like there may be slow spurts, and then he's kind of, I mean, you can only, I don't know where he does it, post that you're looking for opportunities and hope to be successful. I mean, he's built a word of mouth, but where he lives, maybe not so much yet because he hasn't been there super long, I don't think. But it's kind of like, other than going for long trail walks, wall climbing, sometimes little adventures outside of, where he lives. And he probably has, a step family that I don't really know any of them. They're not my step family, I guess. But I don't know what he keeps busy with, but he's not super in contact, not super in touch. We do mostly get along. One time he said something about how it's nice that it's spring so I can hear the birds, as if you don't hear birds in the winter. I'm pretty sure you do, you know. But he's been doing that for 12 to 15 years, I think. I do have a question, though. I do have a question. It's more for one of you than the other one, I feel like. But what do you feel makes you shy? And what would make you more comfortable? Because I kind of think that even shy people aren't shy all the time. Some people are more shy with people they don't know. But I mean, you've been watching me for, what, 15, 20 minutes? If you're the one that was here before, add that time to it. You should feel like you know me by now. No, just kidding. 3000. If you've not seen it, Science Theater 3000. If you've not seen it, it's hard to explain if you haven't seen it. Okay. And the other person in the house is quite into science, so, and I don't hate it, but At this point, I'm kind of forgetting some of my questions other questions that I had. And I was talking about the afterlife a little bit. If we connect on email, we can possibly see about other ways of connecting that are a bit, you know, email is one on one, but uh, have more options. Um, but yes, I'd love to work with that song idea that I was mentioning too. If you have any thoughts that I can kind of maybe sit at the piano and do something with. And then you both go. That's weird. But maybe you had to go to the email thing. Especially if you're on a cell phone, you may well have had to have. And the other person just happened to go at the same time. That reminds me, it's my newer email. So if I don't load it now, oh, you're still here. Okay, it's just being wonky. It did that ages ago, but it's weird. This whole video it wasn't doing that, and then suddenly it's doing it. Yeah, so I'd like to maybe work a little bit on that song idea. If you have any thoughts around that, maybe talk a little bit about the afterlife if you'd like to. The dreams, figuring out dreams. That's something else. But I am going to load my. I believe in either animal, and now it says one again, animal or ghost, possibly being reincarnation from human form before angel. But other than that, I just believe there's angels in heavens. Of course, cultures have different beliefs too, but then they kind of intermix a little bit too. Oh, right. I have that open. Well, I'll have to do it on here. Oh, but I don't have that one on here. Um, Walk like an Egyptian. Ah, da, 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 hey, oh. Sorry. Hmm. Of course. I don't think I knew that. I don't think I knew that. Um, I also don't know if while you were multitasking, caught a little something else that I was sharing, but put it down again because I was in grade 4. I'm almost 40 now, so do the math. Not that long ago, found out that my grade 4 teacher passed away, actually. And we did a big group project, various groups, I think, on Egypt. But if you're meaning to say duat, that's not a word I remember. And weighing your heart to see where you end up is not something I remember either. So there you have it. I've got a hungry heart. I've got a heavy heart. I've got a loving heart. And I think all of those should get me to heaven. I say so. So therefore it be. Everybody's got a hungry heart. I don't know very much of that. I guess that's why I'm apologizing. But you're hearing me sing a little bit at least. So there's that. But yes, I'd love to. And then I could sing it for our neighbor. Well, the one time, that person in the house plays quite a bit, but the one time I guess we had open or whatever, our neighbor heard and she complimented and she sounded like she said it sounded like you were just noodling, but it sounded really good. And yeah, I was just songwriting on the spot, which is so she didn't even hear me at my best, but it was still nice to get the compliment. Any more of those? Duet is where Anubis. Just do it. You can sing a duet. Scale of fate, I think you mean, or somewhat to that effect. I thought you'd finish multitasking. I thought you'd. Oh right, there's that other step. Anywho, um, so yes, feel free to check out Maxie and Me full movie. It's free on YouTube. Curious what your thoughts are about that. I almost remember the channel name. If you can't find it, I can send it to you. But possibly not under the YouTube video. So you know. Now I'm hesitant. So I guess there's other people here that it's not indicating right here, but now it says that you are again. But even when it didn't, you were. So I don't know. It did. It did done that before. Um, the dreams thing. I think I'm still asking. And yes, should I go tickle the ivories and see what I can maybe. But now if they get it posted, okay. Um, so I'm rusty on piano, and I probably don't sound very great when I'm just making something up. But I can sometimes make something up on the spot. Oh, so you're autistic as well? Okay, artistic and artistic, often a common combo. So I suppose don't do that. I'm not around very much. So I'm gonna turn off the AC, go over there, hope for a really great evening and long weekend. Let's see if I can make up a little something something about what I experienced. And I welcome you to suggest some lyrics. I almost have to, but I think I can wait a few minutes. Hi, how are you? I'll get some water. That's the thing about being a dog, eh? Unless you ask for water, and even sometimes when you do, you might not get it as quickly as you want it. But that's how life is sometimes, right? No, ma'am. I think you meant man. He's artistic. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I've missed something. Yeah, that's what I think. I think that should be the diagnosis from now on. Sorry, man, but your child is artistic. Okay, yeah, I like that. In fact, one of the things I saw recently, the guy was from Chicago, but we'd hoped to collab. And one of the things, in fact, I saw it twice with different people, was he was talking about classical composers and how a lot of them deal with mental health issues. And I asked my one friend, why do you think that is? I'm not sure if I figured it out. She's like, oh, I figured it out. It's because they don't fit the mainstream, or supposedly. Um, so it's like kind of avant-garde video game. You mean autistic dog? Okay, no, he's autistic. He will hate playing music to the point of depression, but he will keep going for validation. Wow, that's deep. COLTYNROCKS@gmail. I have only stopped playing music because I haven't been getting gigs. I haven't been getting that valid, and I or my loved ones in heaven, or the person I live with, whatever, can say that I'm good. But I need more than that. And when I don't get it, it's like, well, I don't really want to do it then. But I've been trying to get back into it. You mean I said it too fast? I'll say it once more because it's deep in the heart of Texas. So people aren't going to. You can give me yours, but I wouldn't suggest you doing that on here. But if you give it to me quickly, give it to me gently. Just kidding, like the song says. And then delete it after you say it. Nobody else is here right now, so that could work. Your brain isn't braining. The link to your demo thingy, etc. And then I might have to very quickly run upstairs, take care of a need, as opposed to Anita. Anita Peter Pants. And then if you have any song ideas to that song I was mentioning, you think that what is going to be interesting? Then yeah, if you have any song ideas to that thing I was mentioning, you can put them, and then I'll weave it into a song. Speaking about weaving a tapestry, which I feel like I've heard that phrase before, and I probably have. Put it before somebody sees it. Hurry. Sorry, but it happens, right? Upon your idea. Lay upon your idea. Just kidding. I'm waiting for your email address first, though. Although I'd rather write it with a pen if I have one handy. I don't like pencils. I really like pens. But it really depends. Sorry. I won't read it out loud like I do with most of the comments. And then about being in. Well, I'm also thinking of that Bieber song now. That should be me. But being in somebody else, putting yourself in other people's shoes, and then also or spot. Slightly want to suggest kind of the idea of like, well, that's not the usual. That's unusual. And then also, OMG, I think I know you. Those are the ideas. That email address is being really slow to come through. Like I say, you're the only one here right now. I don't really want to say mine again, just in case there is somebody there that's not being indicated or vindicated. I'm going to, well, I don't want to do it because I want you to be able to delete it quickly after you say it once I note it. So otherwise I'd say I'll be right back while you're taking a sweet ass time, artistic ass time. Just kidding. This is something my spouse designed. It was just fell out of that book. You're like, I'm writing lyrics over here. Wait. For some reason, it is not. Maybe for privacy reasons, they're thinking you shouldn't put your email address in a comment. But a minute and 45 minutes in might be safe. I think the first time was still over an hour in. COLTYNROCKS@gmail.com. Get it? Got it? Good. I'll be right back to see your lyric ideas. Yeah, what's in that video? Hopefully it won't be. What is it? Be right back. Be right back and be right front. I need something to munch upon. To munch upon. Okay, that's good. Oh, yeah. So am I. And it's coming from me, so that makes a lot of sense. To munch upon, munch upon. So yeah. Caseria. Caseria. And also along with your music link, but if you don't have that ready yet, then you don't, that's fine. But I don't mind hearing a sample of it. I'd also love, you've been able to see me on video. I'd love to see a picture of, oh. Okay. Looks like we were both doing the same thing. Holy smokes, I need to drink a lot of water. I'm Hungarian and somewhat vegetarian. That would mean somewhat. I mean somewhat. Would you like some? Somewhat. I love a lot of my thing. You don't have to hate that you can. So yeah, but so does what the. Some people would bring their phone with them, but maybe not on a phone because you're working on a music project, or maybe that's just awkward. I can understand. One thing if you're reading something or whatever. Another thing if you're engaging, it could be a bit distracting. If you're engaging or marrying or singling or triading, whatever. Just kidding. Triading, try multiplying. So we got a second person here. One of our viewers had to briefly step away, but it's going to try and come back. And if not back, then front. Just kidding. I sort of want to put the AC on again. And maybe he's working on an email to me. I kind of wanted to write a song on the spot. Person that just tuned in, if you'd like to suggest lyrics to the idea, you're welcome to. Let me know if you'd be open to it, and I'll re-explain it. Otherwise, the person that will be back shortly already knows. I just put, I need a game, and I almost fall. Oh, the fall of the road. Mm-hmm. Our neighbor's name. I've been sometimes writing songs by finding chords based on the name of the, like when it's been about somebody, based on their name. Our neighbor only has, well, she has 4 letters in her first name, the shortened form. Actually, technically, I don't think it's spelled that way, so that's not a chord. But it's spelled the other way, it doesn't have any, except for the one. And then the last name is 4 letters, 5 letters, very common, I believe. Or believe that's her last name, I meant. And there's no letters in that are chords. So we got, I just did 2, didn't I? Sounds kind of neat, though, I must admit. And then her husband, yeah, he doesn't have any chords. So unmusical, our neighbors. The ones I'm thinking of. I don't know the other ones super closely, really. Insert lyrics as you may. She's in your chair. just making it up, right? Obviously. Actually, maybe you couldn't tell, but I did say I was going to, so there you have it. Okay. To the second person watching, I know how I can win your heart, for lack of a different way to put it. Win my heart. Do you have a song request, a song that you really like? Maybe make 2 or 3 in case I don't know. I know sometimes it's a tricky question, but no, like literally, sometimes it is. But I'll try and do it. I aim to please anybody who's watching here. You know, it's a nice way to interact. I don't know why it says this is the first video that this particular new contact has chatted on. I don't know why it's saying his #1 fan. Although it almost feels like it. I'm just kidding. Oh, sort of. There's lots of songs about being in somebody else's shoes, like metaphorically. I just can't think of what they are. There's one I keep hearing, "Walk a mile in your shoes," which is ironic. I think that was actually an old friend of mine's song, and I saw him not long ago. I didn't hear him do the song, but that's kind of ironic. To the second person, whether you're the person that's been here a couple other times for long spats or not, let me put it to you this way. Put it to you straight, kind of. If you were doing a video, I mean, again, I'm glad that you're here, but if you were doing a video and saw somebody there that wasn't saying anything, wouldn't you be curious to hear from them? Wouldn't you think? And the viewer laughed. I was going to say, wouldn't you think maybe I'm doing something wrong? Maybe I'm doing something. I don't know. Anyway, don't mind me. Just trying to include you and quench my curiosity. But you've already left, so why am I going on? Because it's what I do. I still want to love you. I still want to believe. So I will still try to things, but I could be far worse with those things here on this earth. I don't know how much older than when I first got my birth. Help me find my word. I want to hear. I want to reach my potential. This can't be all there is. Bring an original. What new can I hear? How can I be of service? More than just this. Something like that. That's a song I wrote ages ago. of being stuck in life and the things that I want to be doing with my life. But yes, I did reiterate the thing about the song ideas that I had. If you have any lyric ideas, feel free to put them back. We both went. I was just faster, but it's okay. It's no contest. I'm glad you're back. Welcome back to the place and something that you love. I'm just looking for a lotion on the Caesarea Ocean. Cake by the ocean. Can't think of any other ocean songs. I know there's Frankie Ocean, but I don't know if I know much of his music, to be honest. Oceans up high, day after day, and I slowly go insane. I hear the voice on the line, but it doesn't. Did what go through? No, I gave you my email just a few times. If you're still trying to give me yours, it's not coming through. I'm thinking YouTube is trying to tell you, just in general, that you shouldn't go putting your, that kind of details in comments. Did you email me? Let me just check if that's what you're saying. Well, if that's what you're saying, why didn't you just say so? I'll be your counsel. Sorry. You're having issues hearing what? I just turned off the AC. If you sent me something, I'm not seeing it. Thank you. Please try again. I know. You start to feel like a psychiatrist, right? Or like you call on the helpline. Every time the helpline blings, that can only mean one thing. I'm sensing you're close to my age. How old are you, out of curiosity? And then there's something else. I did write a little bit of a song, To a Higher Power. I just did it. Oh, you're going to actually tell me your actual birthday. Isn't that interesting? But I'm confused. Oh, 23. Okay, I'm like, you got to be more than 1 or 2. And also, I do welcome you to check out some of my other videos as well. But let's do a little songwriting before we wrap up. People are going to say, this must be good. He went on for ages, and every time I skip ahead, he's looking pretty happy. So maybe I'll sit and check it out. That's interesting. Our birthdays are a couple of weeks apart from each other. GameCube. Oh, I almost remember it. I do. 3 words. Interesting combination of words. I can't. Oh, is that an arcade game? Or it's just 3 random words together? What is that? One thing to do. There's another song that mentions 3 words, isn't there? Well, like actually verbally says 3 words. These 3 words are said too much, but not enough. If I lay here, if I just lay here. Anyway, did you say that you play an instrument? Did I ask you on Maxie's page? Or was that someone else? A monkey in big balls? Who's got the biggest balls of them all? I'm sorry. And yes, story time again. My friend that I was mentioning that passed away, I was surprised, but I just thought of it for the first time today. her funeral was a month afterwards. It felt like a while because I was curious to see how it was going to go, and who I might see from back in the day. And it was so it felt like took a while to come here, but it really was just a month later. Maybe a lot of people didn't even know, or they just don't go to funerals. Anywho, there was a guy. He was on an oxygen tube, which there's also makes the Maxie and Me movie that I was mentioning that I'm curious to hear what you think about. And hopefully you got my email. Just send a little something, even if you don't send much right now, then I'll know. I was going to ask you, too, if you could send a picture of yourself. You're seeing me, so I'd love to see you. But anywho, and he used to do an AC/DC song. And get this, he was a pastor and a magician. And apparently he also played Charlie Chaplin. I'm giving too much away, maybe, but I was really hoping to run into to connect with one of her friends or Clark's and go to the festival together, but it didn't quite happen. They didn't see my messages, basically. Except for her sister did, and I don't know. Again, I feel like she was saying she was just busy, distracted, still grieving. Yep. Yep. And I'm sure I've written songs about Ray before. I just feel bad for a mutual friend, as I'm sure she does from heaven. You know, he says he doesn't really go out much anymore. I mean, he doesn't drive anymore. I mean, I remember once I asked for prayers and he didn't seem to give them. I'm thinking, what kind of pastor would not give a prayer? But maybe I misunderstood something. So I tried and look past it. And, you haven't said anything to my singing, by the way. I've noticed. I have noticed. I'm waiting for that validation. Just kidding. Hate to ask for it, but anywho. But, and basically, yeah, he says, he's got this oxygen tank that he's got to. Max and Me is a cute little movie, a cute little small production film, I guess I would say. And it resonates a lot with the kind of things I'm into, I guess I would say. And also, it made a lot of sense to see it after losing this friend. Also, A Country Called Home 2015, free on YouTube. Because one of the characters had a mother that was in a diabetic coma, and that's how Ray passed. The other day I flashed it. I don't remember what I was doing in the podcast just yesterday. I had it in my pocket. I flashed a picture. I'm going to show it. Yeah. That's because you're beautiful. Beautiful, 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 beautiful girl. Inside and out. I don't want to be too specific. It was in my bag during the festival because, like I said, that was the last place I saw her. I was also a volunteer at the festival. There was a couple times where I thought, in fact, there was a couple times where I kind of things were a bit quieter. They hadn't really started for the day there yet. And I thought I might have some kind of special moment. I don't know what I was expecting in that moment. I don't know if I did, other than a stillness came over me. I really wish she'd been there physically. I'll be right back. Sorry. Hasn't been a year yet. Can't say anything with the loss either, by the way. Oh, okay. Sorry. If you put your no, I don't want it there though. So I'll say it one more freaking time. COLTYNROCKS@gmail. If you put don't type it to check though, because if you can't delete it, then it's there. Put your email and your YouTube channel. I click it. I just realized that. Yeah, and hopefully no repeats whatever that guy's name was, Ticcolini. And I can see that you have a lot of fond memories of your lost loved one. Keep them in your heart. Thank you. I'm sure you've lost some loved ones too, perhaps, although you're young. Um, and in fact, I was at a grief group a while back, and there was a guy. He came a little bit late. He was fairly soft spoken, but I think he was a bit shy. But the leader said something I'm sure I've thought of before, but hadn't really thought of that deeply, or very much, rather. She said, if you're young and you know a lot of people your age who haven't been through a loss yet, they can't relate to the same way as someone who has. Mm. Mm. For me, I've been alluding to this, but I haven't really fully said it. For me, and again, it isn't always, and it isn't as often as I may like sometimes, but I feel their presence sometimes. I mean, a little example of that is when I went to get that photo. I felt like she kind of said to my mind, she said, "You really got to show it?" I was like, "Yeah, I'd like to." She's like, "Okay, buddy." You know, um, sometimes it feels deeper than other times, and that keeps them alive too, in a way. It makes it easier and it makes it harder sometimes. And to know, to feel that they are existing in another way, that I can and I can't exist. I mean, I know people would say be grateful because I can't do that. I understand that. It's still not the same though. I mean, it's still hard. And it will only get easier when one day we can be together again. Then it'll feel like it did, but probably still different. And that movie I was telling you about actually kind of, when we talk about, how media portrays like, the afterlife and ghosts or whatever, and how a lot of it, is kind of fake or whatever. That movie really shows it in, I feel, a very realistic way from my perspective. No email. Spam? I don't know if I could do more with those song ideas that I had, or if I'll let you say anything else you want to say on anything I've just said, and then I think I'll wrap it up. I guess I could suggest that you could put your, because YouTube allows that, but that, I don't know. I was gonna say maybe you could put it on yours and I could go get it there. I'm using a laptop. That's the other thing. Otherwise, and you'd think you'd still see it, but I never have. There used to be an option to bring somebody on camera. You do, you think what? But yeah, I've never seen it on this device. And this is the device that doesn't drop the internet a lot. Participants, moderation, timestamp. I'm hesitant to click it in case it does something. Okay, well, it already tells me what I already know. But let me just look. No. So when I click your icon and you do, you think what? I'm surprised it doesn't show a bring on camera option. It does have a add as a moderator option if you'd like me to do that. I don't know if I feel like I need one that much. I mean, things are pretty quiet. If, I don't know if your capabilities would be the same as mine as far as that goes. You do? You think what? Oh, you do have. Okay, I think I know what you're saying. I'll have to check after this though. Um, and when I googled, because I was curious where in the world it was. I don't think it's in Tennessee, but I could be wrong. Your name, I found some other stuff, so it's a fairly popular thing. But if you comment on either this video or one of my other ones after it's live, like this one after a few minutes or one of the other ones, then I should be able to click onto your channel on one of the devices that I have. Yeah, so again, I really thank you for being here. Do you have any other thoughts on anything else that I've said before we wrap up? I know we've talked about a lot of deep stuff and philosophical stuff and shared a bit about me and stuff. So we're going to give you one further opportunity before wrapping up. I don't know what's going on with this email thing though. It's so weird. Probably spelling something wrong. If you've tried to send one to me, either that or you've not been leaving the video because I'd get mad. Just kidding. And you plan to do it afterwards. Either that or you have done it and you spelled something wrong. I just realized that that looks like a tongue, but it's actually a flamingo. Okay. But when I click, okay, we have two people here right now. We're just trying to figure something out before wrapping up. Honestly, probably in a few minutes. So I appreciate that you've tuned in, but maybe feel free to. Okay, right. Um, okay, I figured it out. You have to keep that there now. I know you don't really have much on there, but yeah, feel free to the second person if you're new here, and even if you're not, to check out some of the other videos that I've posted. It's all about positivity and enjoying each other company. Okay. It did. Say. Okay, not into catching on fire. That looks like it's written in blood, but other than that, got it. I don't know what the was going on, but so once I got it, if you don't want it there, you can get rid of it. Oh, I'm sure you know what I'm laughing at. Like, honestly, I have no clue. What the fuck? Just kidding. I'll tell you an email. You're chill about what? It's flashing it too again. We've got that flasher up on the top again. Flashing on the top, but not the top. Just kidding. Well, and that is up for definition, but I would say most things. Most things. And to the shy people, just allow yourself to be a free spirit and be nice and join in. Join the party. Woohoo! Sorry. I'm looking for a music book. I'm looking for this guy to save me. Sorry. I don't really apologize for what I say. I don't know why I'm doing that. Maybe because I'm not knowing all the song. I'm just doing a little snippet. Reminds me of when I do like theater improv. Okay, I guess that says it. Says what? Maybe not. Who knows? Says when I do theater and improv, I break into tune. Where did I put my hat?
Where did I put it?
I thought it was right around here. That's weird. Oh, well, I guess I should probably wrap up, look for it, relax for a bit. The other person in the home will be home shortly. And, yeah, anything else that got missed maybe wasn't meant to, before I forget that's in here. But where? Okay. You too. I'm glad you made it here. Pulled yourself away from Maxie. It can be hard to do sometimes, right? And here it is. And yeah, I don't imagine he's still rolling, but not a whole lot going on, and that's the hard part. That's the hard part, right? It's kind of like it's hard when you have anticipation, looking forward to something, and you have to wait for it, because you just have to, and it's hard when you don't have anticipation about things. Like, I'll do my best to have a good rest of the day, and you as well, but I don't know. I mean, it's hard when you don't foresee things. But let's just all remember to be good to one another because that's what we want for ourselves. So we should give it as well. And try to enjoy life and the little things. And I know that a couple of things that are probably pretty important to Ray and my other loved ones are, feeling the feels, letting yourself feeling is healing. And yeah, enjoying the little things because, sometimes you don't get your big goals, your big dreams to come true right away. So just enjoy the journey in the little things. Time goes away in these small hours. Very interesting because I remember her partner singing. These twists and turns of fate. These small what's the music book? Classical stuff. I I do that, and the two of you stick around. And they're like, "We're not going until he ends this thing. We're having too much fun," and I really am too. It's true. You know it's true.